I meant to read 32. Sorry about that. Let this Christ, the King of Israel, now come down from the cross so that we may see and believe. Those who were crucified with him were also insulting him. So you see four groups of people here making fun of Christ. You have the people going about their lives. This would have been part of Passover, Feast of the Unleavened Bread going on. The gates are finally open to Jerusalem. They're going about to the marketplace. They see him and they mock him. You have the chief priests, no doubt, stirring up the crowd. They were the ones who had ultimately delivered him over, and we'll get to that in a little bit. Inciting the crowd, making fun of him, encouraging him to go ahead and, unbeknownst to them, abandon his mission and come down off the cross. You have the other two condemned, believe it or not, also deriding him and making fun of him. I like to think back, going back to that centurion where it says, when he saw the way he breathed his last, truly this man was the Son of God. I mentioned that people condemned to crucifixion didn't behave like that, and it's true. They would have been cursing, swearing, spitting, all sorts of different things as they were carried along to their unjust death. And here we have Jesus recorded as doing none of these things. And so when I read, he saw the way he breathed his last, even though it was likely, very literally speaking to that specific moment, I like to think that from the time that he got Jesus into his possession and led him to the cross, he just marveled at the way Jesus handled this. That he just saw the way that Jesus was beaten and flogged and scourged and bleeding and carrying a cross and crucified and dealing with the piercing of the nails for the crucifixion, and then willingly gave himself up. And he's like, what other explanation is there for this except to observe and see? But we see that even the guard itself, as the fourth group, was also mocking him. And so what did he deserve? What brought this about? Well, we'd have to go a little bit farther back, and if you can't tell, I'm obviously doing Good Friday in reverse order, so props to you for observing. But I guess before we go to that, I do have one more point to make before I go on to how he got there in the first place. And it's something that bothers me, and it's something that convicts me as well, but it's something that bothers me. In Matthew 5, chapter 5, starting in verse 11 and going through verse 12, Jesus is recorded in the Beatitudes as saying this to his disciples: "Blessed are you when people insult you and persecute you and falsely say all kinds of evil against you because of me. Rejoice and be glad, for your reward in heaven is great. For in the same way they persecuted the prophets who were before you." And I can't move on from this physical and verbal abuse, mockery, without falling back on this verse and wondering, where have we gone wrong? Why are we so sensitive? How come we care so much about people we will meet for a minute and move on from and never see them again? Why are we not willing to risk a little ridicule? And I say we because I'm in that. Why are we so willing to crumble at the slightest insult, and so we make friends with the world and sacrifice the gospel? That's everything the progressive church is doing. Jesus says if you want to be a disciple, in Mark 8:34, he says, "If anyone wishes to come after me, he must deny himself and take up his cross and follow me." Very plain, very simple. Gospel of Mark. Here's a bullet on a PowerPoint slide. Take up that cross. You're going to get scourged. You're going to be mocked. You're going to be made fun of. You may even die. And yet there are activists in the world today who are willing to go further than we are for their false gospel. It just boggles my mind. When did we become so weak? And I don't have a good answer, because I'm in there too. But I'm really hoping to find one soon, because people are dying without Christ. And that burdens me, that I'm not willing to get up and just be made fun of even a little bit, lose a friend just a little bit, make my work uncomfortable just a little bit. Eternity is a lot longer than we know.